Hey everybody, I'm back once again. My partner in crime, Jeff Hanson, Big
Hey,
T,
I'm no, I'm a smooth criminal.
smooth criminal. So what we're going to talk about today is what everybody on the internet is talking about right now. It's the
Everybody in
ST101 festival.
everybody in the world,
Everybody,
everybody.
I can't open my phone without people talking about it.
It's one of those things where I never thought that I would go viral, but I think we are.
I believe it. Like people are so stoked on it this year. And why don't you start off
Well,
by
a
just
couple things real fast. There's a couple people that are either friends or sponsors or whatever, and they're like, oh, we think we're going to wait a while to post about it because it's just too much. It's overload. And when it slows down and dies down is when I need, the promo to keep going. Oops, sorry, I covered the camera. So, I was like, yeah, it's going crazy right now. It might as well wait. I don't want everybody. When 5,000 people post about the same thing all on the same day, it's silly. So we need like the slow burn for like 6 months to get to it. If we don't sell out soon. But uh, for those that didn't notice or saw in the other video from last week when we're talking about the Huntington Beach Pier shows, I was telling Ryan that the hotel is either sold out or very, very close to selling out that we're doing the event at. It's in the Crystal Ballroom at the Golden Sails Hotel in Long Beach. And it's a 3-day weekender event this year. And it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, July 28, 29, and 30th. And I think a lot of people are digging it. So between the flyer art, which I will show you right here, and Brian will probably put down below. But here's the art done by Tom, aka Big Toe. And I'd say lots and lots of people are digging that. And it's really eye-catching and getting a lot of attention. And then on the back side of the flyer is a bunch of our sponsors and two little QR codes down in the corner that can take you to the site to buy the tickets and also to the site that has all the info and bios and stuff about the bands that we're kind of in the process on working on. But so there's all the sponsors right there, tons of them. Well, there's also sponsors on the front. I go over these in a bit. We got some really great sponsors every year. Those are the big ones on the front, and then on the back, tons more great sponsors. But the other thing that's important about the flyer, and even if it's online, is the schedule of events that Ryan will include down below.
down below. Or maybe I'll just put it up over this.
Or you could cover over your guitar over here.
Yeah, there you go. So, you've generated quite a buzz last year. I think we were still coming out of that COVID buzz, but
Yeah,
a lot of people are going out now.
Between you and me and the 5 people that are watching, or 5,000 people that are watching, I'm just joking. 5,000 people that are watching, 5 million people that are watching. Anyways, I'm still wondering if I should have even done last year, because there was a lot of things about it that I was apprehensive about. There was some things that were not so great, like the parking situation and, being on a Sunday and being limited time wise. COVID was still around. I mean, COVID's still around, but it was still around then. And what else was it? The economy, which of course the economy is still a thing, but many things are quote unquote getting better. But anyways, I posted the artwork for the flyer and the lineup, being that it's a 3-day weekender at a hotel, and people are losing their minds. And a lot of people are telling me that they're coming that have never come before. So that's really cool. I mean, there's some people telling me that they can't come, and that bums me out, but I get it. I don't think I can go to Italy this year, which bums me out because the lineup for Surfer Joe Festival is amazing. But, between money and situation with my dad and his health, I just don't think it's feasible. Anyways, back to the convention. First thing, for those who didn't know, if you haven't seen the flyer yet, It is the Surf Guitar 101 Festival. It is no longer a convention. We dropped that. We changed it. So the website is surfguitar101.com festival. And because this year it's 3 days, it's a weekender. But we're not sure if it'll always be a weekender, but this year it's a weekender at one hotel. It's in the ballroom at the hotel. So anyways, surfguitar101.com is the forum where we talk about surf music, and the event, the festival is based around the forum. For those who don't know about it, please go to the forum and support it and make donations to keep it running. But it's discussion of surf music where it's not on social media, where I always say social media is like you write it on a piece of tissue paper and you hold it up in the air and let go of it and the wind blows it away. And people might read it as it's blowing by. Where surfguitar101.com, you write something on the internet and it's like chiseled in stone. It's there, you know.
There is a link to that in our description, and every video there's a link to that forum.
Yeah. I'm trying to scratch my back without covering the camera. Okay.
So were you all in to go huge this year? Was that
Well,
your goal?
But here's the first thing, Surfer Joe Festival is 4 days. Starts on Thursday. It's got like 3 bands. Fridays like 6 or 8 bands. Saturdays like 10 bands, and then Sundays like 8 bands. I've been to that 3 times. So I was always wanting, the surf guitar convention at the time to be more like Surfer Joe, but it was hard and I couldn't figure out how to do it. We always had between 3 and 6 shows, whether it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Wednesday through Monday, but it was at all these different venues, from tiny little bars or even 2 bands playing in a record store. There was events and people went to it and it was all fun, but I was like, I'm not doing something right, and I would go to Tiki Oasis and I heard about Viva Las Vegas, and it's these big, huge weekender events at one venue. And if you're into drinking and stuff, it's nice where you can just go somewhere and enjoy yourself and watch the music and not have to worry about driving home or driving back to your motel. So doing it at a ballroom at a hotel makes perfect sense. And I think a lot of people are really responding to that now that we've finally done that. So I partnered up with my friend Chris Burkhart, who is stellarshows.net. And he does a lot of roots rock and Americana and stuff, but he likes surf also. And we did the Winterfest at the Golden Sails Hotel in the PCH room, which is a little bar that they have in the front. I'm gonna take my glasses off since I know what you look like. And we did the PCH room, and it was okay, but it was kind of like a metal ceiling, and the sound was bouncing around and stuff. But we went and looked at the ballroom, and Tikiyaki Orchestra did a show in the ballroom. That really is what cemented it for me. Is after I did the DJing and did the lights for them for their record release party, and I was like, yeah, we need to do it in this ballroom. So I told Chris, I go, save these dates and let's do it. So for those who haven't seen the schedule yet, Ryan can put it up. But Friday night we're having meet and greet for 2 hours. So you show up. There'll be some vendors and stuff outside, beforehand. But from 6 to 8, you can come on into the ballroom, and you can grab some drinks, and there'll be shopping. Probably not all the vendors that'll be there on Saturday and Sunday, but there'll be some vendors there, and of course the 2 bands that are playing. But basically, it's just hang out, have some food, have some drinks for 2 hours. There'll be a lady DJ doing some exotica and Hawaiian music, and then Tikiyaki Orchestra plays at 8 o'clock. And then there'll be like a half-hour break with with her DJing, and then Satan's Pilgrims going to play for probably like an hour and 15 to hour and a half. Nice. After that. Unless we can entice them into doing like a full 2 hours, like a merman show or something, but we'll see. Maybe if we throw some money at them, they'll keep going. So anyways, that's the opening night. Not quite as big as like Surfer Joe would do with 6 or 8 bands on Friday, but it's a Friday. And when I did the 10th convention, we had 6 bands on the Friday, and the turnout was like 100 people. And then the next day was 12 bands and we had 300 people. So there's definitely a difference between Friday and Saturday. That being said, Tikiyaki Orchestra, who did really, really good on when they did the record release party on a Saturday. I think Tikiyaki Orchestra and Satan's Pilgrims, who are from Portland and have only played here, like once every, 7 to 10 years. I think that's a good draw for the Friday night, and we'll pull pretty well, So anyways, that's the opening night. And then on Saturday, excuse me, I should have got some water. On Saturday, doors are at 10. 1 hour of meet and greet and shopping, and from the vendors and stuff, and we'll go over all the vendors that are going to be there in a bit. But 1 hour of meet and greet and shopping, and then at 11 o'clock, John Blair from John the Night Riders, he took over on the production and the release of the Sound of the Surf documentary of the surf music history that came out. It's been at some film festivals, but it's not available yet on DVD. So we're going to show that at the Surf Guitar 101 Festival. So from 11 to 12:10, it's an hour and 10-minute movie. We'll show that, and then he'll do a 20-minute Q&A, and then the music starts at 12:30. And then I think we have 11 bands on Saturday, and they all play 45 minutes each with 15 minutes in between. And then on Sunday morning, doors are at 10. It's going to be a tight schedule. So right at 10, we show the Reverb Junkies surf documentary, and it came out 10 years ago. So it's the 10th anniversary showing. And Steve, the guy that did that, he still has copies of that on DVD. So if you want to buy that there, I really like it. It's not 100% professionally done like the Sound of the Surf, but it documents their local scene that I know. And my buddy Baha Marty that passed away is in it a few times. So I'd love to watch it where it's what I know of what the surf scene is here. And there's a lot of bands in SoCal. But also it's a piece of history from 10, 12 years ago with my buddy Marty in it, having a great time at surf shows. So even though he's passed, I can watch that and still have, warm memories of him. So that'll show from 10 to 11:30. It's an hour and a half. And then John Paul Ballack, that's in Tikiyaki and Insect Surfers and the Scimitars, and sometimes plays with Lorenzo. He's going to do a seminar about 80s and 90s, or I should say 80s till now. So basically the whole second wave of surf, anything that's after the 60s. He's going to do a little seminar. John Blair will be around, so he might chime in on the 80s version or 80s portion of it. So that'll be for like about a half hour to 45 minutes. And then I think we have 9 bands on Sunday. And we wrap up Sunday evening. The last band is Messer Chups from Russia. And that goes from 8 to 9. And of course, you can hang around after if you want to. If you have the hotel, we're not going to shoo you off the property, but everything is going to kind of wrap up, 9, 10 o'clock on Sunday. So it's not quite 6 days that I've done in the past, or 5 or 6 days like Viva and Tiki Oasis, but it's 3 really, really strong days, I think. And a lot of people are kind of that have never come before. I've seen some people say, wow, I've been watching and looking at the convention for years and years, and I never went, but now I see this lineup, and I gotta come. So I'm really stoked that and as I've told some people, we still need to spread the word on this. We don't want to coast on the high sales that it's had so far. We need a ton of people spreading the word on this. And we need to have everybody swinging like we want to knock the baseball out of the park and hit, like the window of a car, in the parking lot, not just hit it into the stands where the people are. We need everybody swinging like to knock the ball out of the park on the promo on this. So anybody that can help, I really, really appreciate it. Spreading the word, and have some friends, come that might not have known about it before, even if, you spread the word and to 50 people and only 1 or 2 come, that's appreciated. So I can go on and on and on about it, but sharing it on Facebook works, but also verbally or handing a flyer to somebody, that also helps. And if anybody, we had 10,000 flyers printed, Usually we do 2,000 or 5,000, but we did 10,000. So if anybody wants like a stack of 50 or a stack of 100, shoot me an email at bigtikidude@yahoo.com, and I'll mail you some flyers, and you can spread them around wherever you live at, record stores or music venues or whatever. So Jeff Hanson, aka bigtikidude@yahoo.com, or send me a message on Facebook.
Cool. When you first started putting this together, what was your initial goal? Was it to be this big?
Well, my buddy Marty that I was talking about, that's in the Reverb Junkies movie, we did I did a show for him where it was his 50th birthday. So I got 8 bands together and they played, and it was great. There was like a turnout of like 80 people or so. And it was some newer bands and some bands that had been around for a while, but it was just like, the room was full and there was a lot of love. And it was like the surf music family. It's like, yes, it's a scene, but especially here in SoCal, a lot of people know each other, over the years. And some of Marty's friends that came out that hadn't been going to shows for a long time. And it was really, really cool. And some people were saying, hey, this is fun. We should do this more often, like a once a year event, like a family reunion type of thing. So that's kind of what sparked the idea in my brain. And then also there was a guy, the drummer from a metal surf band called Chum, Adrian Anthony. He did a thing called the South Bay Surf Stomp. And I don't know how many years it had been going, but I want to say it was 4 or 5 before I started. But he did an event at the same place where I did the birthday party for Marty. And he would have, between 40 and 70 people, for the South Bay Surf Stomp. But I did the very first surf convention, and there was a tour where Yvonne's band, the Madeira, was coming out from the Midwest, and Ference's band, Pollo Del Mar, was coming down from NorCal. And then there was 2 local bands. So there was 4 bands that were all playing together, and then they were going to play at the pier the next day. And then I was like, and we were talking about it on Surf Guitar 101 about doing an event. There was some events in Vegas back in the 90s that were, I'm trying to remember what they were called, but it was a mix of surf and garage. I'm having a brain fart. I didn't go to them, but I remember hearing about them, and they were cool, but they wasn't as big as Viva. So they lasted like 2 or 3 years, and then it kind of stopped. So people were saying, "Oh, we should do just a surf event and do it in Vegas." And I was like, to take all the gear and have all the bands, and all it's hot there, and I'm not into gambling. I was just like, why take the beach to the desert? There's already sand there. Why don't we just do the event here? And there's like, oh, you can drink and you can gamble. And I was like, there is gambling here. There's a couple of like Indian casinos that we have. If you really want to gamble, if you have to, we can do that here. But, I was just like, there's so many bands here in Southern California, and there's all the big, great Showman amps and stuff. It's like, why pay to take it to Vegas? And then if nobody shows up, you got to pay for a ballroom and stuff, where we were finding bars or smaller venues that were cool to have us there that we didn't even have to pay for. Like I did 7 years at a place called the Starting Gate, and they gave me the venue for free. The downside is we had it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and we had to get out in 15 minutes. But it was a fair sized room. It held like 250 to 300 people. So for 7 years it lasted, and then we had to move on. But anyways, so I didn't really know about the Surfer Joe Festival when I first started, but I knew that there was such thing as festivals. So I was wanting to do that. But, I just started doing a 1-day event, and then I started having like little things before and after, so like I said before, there was peer shows for a while the day after the convention. But then there was people that were only going to the peer show to see half of the bands that were coming from out of town, whether they were international or from other states. But we learned that, if we do 2 shows, one on Saturday and one on Sunday, and the bands that play on Sunday do alternate sets where it's not the same music as the day before, we could charge for both of those shows, and the bands coming from far away would get more money to pay for their travel. So that ended up working out really good, and then, but I still had this thing in my brain where I was like, I'm wanting to do it more like Surfer Joe, where it's Lorenzo's got between like 30 and 40 bands that play at his thing. And I was doing up to 12 or 13 on the Saturday. And then like half of those would play again on Sunday. So it wasn't the same. It was anywhere between 3 and 6 shows, but it was all those bands that were playing Saturday, just playing at different places. And I was like, it's fun, but it's not the same kind of thing for a big festival. Sorry if I'm shaking the phone too much. I'm resting it on my big belly. So anyways, I was like, finally, now that we got this hotel, in the ballroom at the Golden Sails in Long Beach, I was like, I can finally do it. I was like, I'm going to engage the attack mode. So I got some really good artwork, and I got some people that are working with me and some sponsors. And so far, it seems to be a big hit. I hope that the sales keep going. The ticket sales going pretty good right off the bat.
Do you have a count right now?
Like ticket sales?
Yeah.
Well, my friend Christopher, that is my co-promoter of this event, he's out in Palm Springs at the moment. I want to say it's his anniversary or something with him and his wife. So he said when he gets back, he'll let me know. But he said he was really surprised on how much it is. So he was getting like a 24-hour report for the first 2 days, and the amount of money that came in was way more than he was expecting. So between the hotel either selling out or being very close to selling out, and the amount of money that we've done in 2 days, he's like, this is great. He goes, we're not done. We need to keep going. And like I said before, we need everybody to help spread the word. So please, Surf Guitar 101 Festival, spread the word. If you need a flyer, or if you see it online, share it, send it directly, in a PM to somebody, or just click share, either way. The thing is if somebody hears about it that's never been, let them choose if they want to come or not. If you don't share it, some people will never know about it. Right.
True.
So there's people like that are coming from the East Coast where you live that have known about it, but have never thought about coming. And they wrote me and they're just like, this is amazing. They're like, I gotta be there. And I was just like, that's awesome. It makes me really, really happy. Not in tears, but just like it warms my heart.
Well,
that people would spend the money to get airfare and a hotel and to buy tickets for the event, and food, and buy stuff at the show, maybe even a car rental. It's a lot of money, so that people are willing to spend that money to come to an event that made me realize, that I'm doing something right.
Yeah, man, it is totally caught Facebook off guard. I think you broke the algorithm.
Look, never mind the algorithms. This is the Tremolo Beer Gut shirt. Something about the algorithms. So a friend of mine posted something. He goes, how come when you see something on Facebook and then you go away and you come back, you want to find it again and send it to somebody, you can't find it.
You can't find it.
Like that. You got to do a screen capture. If you see it on your phone, take a picture and then send the picture later. If you don't need it, then erase it later. But if you see something, screen capture, because good luck finding it later. That's the thing I love about Surf Guitar 101, the forum, surfguitar101.com. The stuff is written and it's like it's chiseled in stone. It's there forever. It's archived. It's a historic document of stuff that we say. So please help support that forum. Donate some money to help keep it going.
Totally. So what we didn't talk about yet is your vendors. What's you said you wanted to mention the vendors and the stuff they'll be selling.
Well, do we want to go over actually the whole list of all the bands?
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
The vendors?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, like I said before, the Friday night is Tikiyaki Orchestra, and then Satan's Pilgrims. And then on Saturday, we got the movie, the Sound of the Surf. And then we start off with a local band, the Reventlows. For anybody that knows about the Quilter guitar amplifiers, that's Pat Quilter. Well, his brother Matt Quilter plays in a bunch of different bands, but his main instro band is called the Reventlows, and they're not like the Insect Surfers, but the closest thing that I could say that they sound similar to would be the Insect Surfers. I mean, it's apples and oranges, but they're definitely edgy and not, I don't even know about progressive, just out there. They're definitely not a surf band. They're an instrumental band, but they're amazing. The musicianship will like twist your brain in a good way. So you got to see the Reventlows. They're at 12:30 on Saturday. So please come early, see the Sound of the Surf movie, because we don't know if it's going to be on DVD or not. So come early, get a ticket, get in, see the sound of the surf, and then the Reventless. Strap in because they're a wild ride. Then this is great. Paul Johnson from the Bel Airs and many other bands from the 60s. He came to the Winter Surf Fest and he got up and he did 2 songs. For those who don't know, Paul Johnson has had a bunch of health stuff over the last like almost 10 years. He had a slight stroke in a car accident about 10 or 12 years ago. And then he had cancer. He beat cancer. Then he had a really bad case of shingles. And then just recently he fell and broke a hip. So it's like, oh my God, I love Paul like a dad, like a brother, like a grandfather, but I was just like, this guy is just not getting a break, but he came to the Winter Surf Fest just to see and watch the bands, and he stands right in front of the stage, and it just gives people the warmest feeling to have Paul watching. We're like Dick Dale, you gotta love Dick Dale, but he would hide in his dressing room or hide in his RV. He didn't want to watch other bands. He didn't want to be influenced, or hear something and accidentally copy it. Paul, he'll stand right in front of the stage and give you the thumbs up if he's digging you. So that's cool. I love seeing that, So anyways, Paul Johnson is, he got up and played 2 songs at the Winterfest. So we're hoping that he gets back in the swing of things and can get up a whole set and play, at the Surf Guitar 101 Fest. So we have him down, Paul Johnson. Then from England, this guy's been around a long time. I want to say 25 to 30 years. It's Hip Bone Slim, aka Sir Ball Diddley. He's got like 3 or 4 different styles. He does rockabilly, roots rock, garage. But his main thing that we're wanting him to do for us is surf. So it's Sir Ball Diddley. And then from Michigan, we have the Concussions. And then we have Deke Dickerson, but he's going to be playing the Link Ray hits and stuff. Maybe a few vocals. We'll see. I got to kind of twist his ear on that and say, don't do half and half. We want to get maybe 2 or 3 vocals is okay. Then the debut of Draculina. She was in a band from Russia called Black Lagoon. And then for a short time, she was in Messer Chups, but now she's gone solo. And backing her up is, I forget the guy's name. I want to say it's John, but I'm not positive. But it's the guy that plays drums for Nick Cave. And then on guitar, we have Evan Foster from the Boss Martians and Chris Barfield from the Huntington Cads and the Finks. So that's pretty much a super group if I've ever heard of one. So I've heard a couple songs by them on the Shadows tribute and a couple digital EPs that she's done, and it's sounding great. So they're been in the studio recently recording. So hopefully they'll have a little EP out by the time the event happens. So after Draculina, we have the Charades from Finland, and they're kind of on the mellow side, kind of soundtrack-ish, but they've been around 30 years. And they're celebrating their 30 years with a new album and a West Coast tour. So they're kind of, in Finland they have a style of music called Rautalanka, which is kind of similar to like the Shadows European sound, but a little bit more harsh and striking. So a little bit of the Charades is kind of like Rautalanka, but then again, some of it's kind of mellow and soundtrackish. They're not 100%, of the Rautalanka thing. Then we have the Irradiates from France. So Arno De Cea has 2 bands. He has the Irradiates, and he also has the Clockwork Wizards. And we were trying to figure out which one was coming here because I like them both. But he said the Irradiates is more travel friendly for coming here. So maybe in the future we can get Clockwork Wizards. But both bands are great. So I'm really looking forward to them. For those who don't know, I would say the closest thing that you could equate them to is kind of like Daikaiju.
Yeah.
But again, it's apples and oranges. They're not the same as Daikaiju, but they're in that neck of the woods. And then this is a good one. I mean, every band on the lineup is killer, but this is a big pull. The Volcanos from Detroit, Michigan. They were a big band in the 90s. And they were on Estrus Records. They had 2 great records and a whole bunch of 45s. I bought a collection from somebody, and there was 45s in there that I didn't even know that they released. I want to say there's like 10 45s. So anyways, they've been back together and playing a little bit over the last couple of years, like maybe right before COVID, and then again after. I think they've done a show or two. So that's a big cool thing to have Volcanos. And then ironically, the next one, Pollo Del Mar, one of my favorite bands from NorCal. Definitely not, a traditional surf band. Love these guys. And then they kind of went away for a while. And I was like, oh man. I mean, Frankie and the Pool Boys was a great band. I love Ference. He's a great guy. But I kept telling him, I was like, dude, you got to bring back Pollo. I'm sorry. I love Pollo Del Mar. So during COVID, they had the opportunity to get back together and record some of the old songs that they had kind of done like demos of or not finished and stuff. And the new album's out on Music Records, and it's just stellar. I saw your interview with Ference just recently,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff that he said, and then also the liner notes on the back by Dave Arnson from the Insect Surfers. Those liner notes just nail it. That is exactly what the Pollo thing is. It's like, Ference says big guitars. Some people would say it's psychedelic. They're definitely not as out there as the Merman, but they're definitely pushing the boundaries of what instro, guitar is. And I went up for the album release party in NorCal, and I was just sitting there on a couch, and I was just like, I don't do drugs, and I didn't even have a beer, but I was just like, oh, taking me away. It was like I was in my happy place to see Pollo again. So even though they played at the very first surf convention, it was really, they weren't playing at the convention. They played later that night, and we had our convention from noon to 6 or noon to 7 p.m. So we were like earlier in the day before that night show. So technically it was the same building, but there was like, an hour between the two different things. So Pollo has never played the Surf Guitar 101 convention / festival, so to finally get Pollo to come down for this, that's, I'm beyond happy and beyond words. So after Pollo Del Mar, we have the Bomboras, and that's a big one because they were gone for, I think, like almost 20 years or so. And I saw Jake and his other band, Lords of Altamont, at a show. And I said, hey, I'm Jeff. I do the Surf Guitar 101 convention. Any chance of the Bomboras ever reuniting? And if so, would you play the events that I do? And he goes, oh, I highly doubt that. And then here it is. Kind of like a few years back when I had Shag and Chris Barfield with their band, the Huntington Katz. They didn't think that would ever happen, and they actually reunited 2 different times. So never say never, kids. So yeah, the Bomboras, they did an EP a couple years ago on Music, and then they have a new full-length album coming out. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Do you know?
The Bomboras?
Yeah, the new album that's coming out.
No, but I'm eager to interview them because I'm setting something up, and I'll find out more.
Vinyl only.
Nice.
I think that's silly, right?
I know you do, but I don't.
Because there are some surf fans that love CDs. I like both. If there's both, I'll buy both, the CD and the vinyl.
I don't have a CD player in my car.
Well, neither do I, but I bought a little portable.
Oh, there you go.
And when I'm cruising up to NorCal for the weekend, I'll bring a bunch of CDs and a CD player. Because I don't put any music on my phone because my phone dies every 2 years. I have to get a new one. And I don't want to have to do that whole transfer thing.
That's
so anywho, when you have 3,000 surf CDs and another 2,000, CDs of other stuff, it's very overwhelming to have to put it all on a computer or put it on a phone. And what happens when that dies? Then you got to start all over. So enough of that. As I digress. So the Bomboras, big pull. That's really, they're going to headline the Saturday night. I think that's a big thing. Then Sunday, doors at 10 a.m., Reverb Junkie showing, John Paul seminar, member jam. We're bringing back the member jam. So Surf Guitar 101 Festival is based around the Surf Guitar 101 Forum. So if you want to become a member of Surf Guitar 101, the forum, you can join in on the Surf Guitar 101 member jam. And basically what you do is you sign up and you say that you want to play a certain song, and other people will chime in and join you. So you get a drummer and a bass player and two guitar players and maybe a keyboard player. So we used to do that for years and years, where we'd have, half hour to an hour of people that all different corners of the United States all come together and play a song that they've never played, before together.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's fun. No rehearsals. And then we got some local bands on Sunday. We got Rocket Fish, and we have Waves of Steel, and we have the Tiki Creeps. Then usually we do a tribute to a 60s band, but for those who know or don't know, Bob Dalley had a band in the 80s called the Surf Raiders. And he's had a tribute album out for him, and he's reissued some of his albums on CD and stuff. But just recently, Bob's had some bad health issues, and he also just lost his wife. So we felt kind of really bad about Bob, and we wanted to cheer up his spirits. So instead of doing a tribute to a 60s band, we decided to do a tribute to Bob Dalley and the Surf Raiders. He said he can't come, but we're going to video it really good. And then we're going to send him off the DVD and some other stuff, some little goodies to help cheer him up. So everybody keep Bob Dalley in your thoughts and prayers. His son tells me that he's healing after an operation that he had just recently. So that's good. After that, we have the Hellbenders. And for those who don't know, the guys that are in the Volcanos, they have alter egos, and they do kind of a spaghetti Western ish instro band called the Hellbenders. So that's really cool. Then SoCal Legends that started in the early 90s, I want to say like 92 or so, the Eliminators. Some people just thought that they'd stopped and gone away, but I actually had them right before COVID hit do a show. I think it was with Lorenzo, or it could have been with the Rockabilly Band. But either way, they have a fourth album out, and it's kind of like a bunch of cover songs and stuff, but they have 2 albums, and then they did there's 3 albums, and then there's a live recording, and then they came out with this kind of like an EP of cover songs. So they said that they're going to reissue that covers recording on a real CD instead of a CDR, and they're playing the convention. So they're that classic. They're a 90s band, but they have that classic 60s sound with a sax player and everything. It's just like, it's modern, but it's traditional. So Eliminators are a great band. Then we have the Surf Kings, and for those who don't know, the guitar player is Tom Stanton. He was in the Crossfires, the 60s band, and he did a few songs with them, and then he had to go off to Vietnam, and they replaced him, and then they became the Turtles after that. Sorry, I dropped my flyer. So Surf Kings are kind of like a SoCal version of the Mermen. He saw the Mermen in the early 90s and was inspired by what they were doing. So he loves traditional, but he also loves really pushing the limits. So he's another one of those bands like Poet El Mar and the Reventless and the Insect Surfers, where they're like going places other than just, trad surf. His songs are a little bit longer, like 5 to 7 minutes. And definitely it's like, this is a cliche to say it, but it's like Jimi Hendrix meets surf, or like a psychedelic band meeting surf. So some people aren't crazy about that style. I love it. It's because it's great playing. Whether you like the style or not, that's, your choice. But you can't deny good playing. And all these guys are just stellar players. And then to finish up the Sunday is the great Messer Chaps from Russia. We were supposed to have them last year at the convention, and they didn't show up because they got detained at the airport because their COVID shot status. They had to wait like 2 more days before they flew. So they actually showed up 1 or 2 days after. So again, we're not a convention anymore. It's the Surf Guitar 101 Festival Weekender. But I keep referring it to the convention as in the past, but we're now Surf Guitar 101 Festival.com. So again, on the back of the flyer, there's 2 little QR codes, and one of them takes you to the place where you can get the tickets at stellarshows.net, or you can go to Surf Guitar 101 Festival.com. That has bios and all kinds of info about all the bands that are playing the event. And I think that's about it on that. And then you were asking me about all the sponsors and vendors, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so really kind of fast. On the front, up at the very top, we have music recordings, then Double Crown recordings, High Tide recordings, and then down at the bottom we have Surf Cookie recordings, Otitis Media Records, and over on the bottom left or bottom right we got Dionysus. So those are all the big players in the surf records. And then there's a new one, and that's House of Taboo, I believe it's called. That's the guy that does Exotica Moderne magazine. He's starting a label, and it's I believe it's House of Taboo, and he's going to be doing a Madeira best of and a couple other albums coming out pretty soon. So he's going to be vending there. So all these record labels are going to be vending at the Surf Guitar 101 Festival.
Awesome.
So you got to bring like $5,000, and you're going to just hand it all over.
You don't even need to do that. It's easy just to put your phone up to the QR code now. It goes right out. You don't even need to bring cash.
I suppose if everybody does that. But I was going to say, if you're old school like me, you bring a lunch pail full of cash, and you're going to go home with a wheelbarrow full of CDs and records.
Yeah.
So every year at the surf event, at the surf festival, SG 101, I've spent like $400 on records and CDs, and I'm the one that puts on the event. You know, I do get a little bit of promos and stuff, but there's a lot of old stuff where you're not going to get a promo of something from the 80s or 90s. You know, so you got to buy it. So Bob Dalley, who I was talking about earlier from the Surf Raiders, he used to do a newsletter, and he would review albums. And he came to the surf convention for 2 years, him and his wife, and he had all these CDs and records, and they were all in mint condition. And I go, why are these all so nice? He goes, I listened to them once, and I did a review in the newsletter, and I put it on the shelf. So me and Emilio from Planeta Reverb were going through it, and I was like, one for me, 1, 2, 3 for you, one for me, 1, 2 for you. He goes, what are you doing? I go, just wait. And I kept on making a stack and making a stack, and he goes, I understand. I go, just wait. And I got to a stack about a foot high, and it was everything that I needed from Bob, you know. And then there was a stack 2 feet high for Emilio, and I looked at it, and I told Emilio, look at the stack. He goes, what about it? I go, I bet you everything in there you don't have. And he looked at it, he goes, yeah, you're right. I go, everything there you need, like you really want it, right? He goes, yeah, how did you know? I said, I know what's good and what's old and what's out of print. I said, all that stuff right there, most of it's out of print, and you need it. He goes, wow, that's amazing. So it was like, you know, $4 or $5 each for CDs, and then like $10 for vinyls and stuff. So again, between new stuff and old stuff, you want to bring a lot of money for, you know, I know times are tight, but you don't want to kick yourself and say, oh, I wish I would have bought this and I wish I would have bought that. Last year at SG 101, I forgot to buy the Bradipos 4 album, the new self-titled album. It was there. High Tide had it. The Volcanics were selling it, and I didn't get it. And then later I went up, and they go, oh, no, there was only 5. You should have bought it. So then I had to order it from Vincent and pay for the shipping. But it was there in the building, and I forgot to buy it. So make sure you make your rounds and check out all the vendors. So also, some of our big sponsors, before I forget, because we're limited on time here, Fender. Can you see that up in the corner?
Oh, you got them.
Yeah, so Fender guitars, they're going to be donating a guitar. And also, one of the guys that works in the custom shop, he's going to be coming. This is an image you're going to have to add down in the bottom or on the screen or something. There's that black and white image of all the kids looking at the guitars. They're all wearing black and white striped shirts, and it's from the 64 teen fair. And there's like 12 guitars on the walls, and it's the Fender sales reps showing the guitars to the kids. If you don't have it, I can send it to you, and you can add it later.
Yeah.
But anyways, they're going to try to recreate that, but they'll be pushing a lot of the new Fender like offsets and stuff. And then another one is, can you see that? Quilter amplifiers. They're going to donate, I forget what it's called, but they're going to donate an amplifier like they do every year. And they've also become a big sponsor. They're helping us out fundage wise. to help put this together because they knew that we were wanting to step up our game, and that we needed a little bit of cash to help make that happen. And then Lace Guitars has a new. Can you see the logo right there?
Yep.
Wait, where's it at? Right there. Lace Guitars has a new Tiki, Tiki Hawaiian type guitars. It's like a Telly and a Jaguar, but it's covered with like bamboo, and there's little tiki heads and stuff on it. So it's called the Taliki. It's like a Telly with a tiki and stuff on it. And then another big one that we have down here is Surfy Industries. And I believe Lorenzo said he's going to donate either 2 reverb tanks or pedals, or maybe 1 reverb and 1 effect. I have to talk to him. He's here. Lorenzo's here for NAMM in Southern California this weekend. So I have to ask him what he's going to actually donate. But he said that they wanted to be a sponsor and donate a couple things. And hopefully he can come and attend and actually vend all of his product at the event. So we shall see. Also some of our sponsors. We got Radio Free Bakersfield. Check out that show. He doesn't play just surf, but he's a big fan of surf, and he wanted me to bring Sir Ball Diddley, so it's a fun show. He plays like garage, Americana, a little bit of punk, maybe throw in some Frank Sinatra loungy type stuff, and surf. So his show's kind of all over the map, but it's always a good fun show. So his name is Jorge, but it's not spelled with a J. So take it as you like. Maybe look it up on his website for Radio Free Bakersfield. And then another big sponsor, friends of ours from down south where they do the Southern Surf Stomp. If you can see that, it's Surf King Surfwear.
Oh yeah.
So that's Bob Walk. He sells t-shirts and stuff. So he's a good friend and a big sponsor, and he helped us actually print the flyers. Bob, we got the flyers. Thank you for your donation. Is greatly appreciated, and the flyers turned out amazing. Send me a message and let me know how many you want. I'll send them to you. And of course, one of those labels down at the bottom is Dionysus. That's Lee Joseph. He runs a great label where they do all different kinds of reissues for the Bacchus archives, and then anything that's newer, where it's, what would you say, garage and punk and surf is kind of like his forte. But he does, in the Bacchus archives, there's some tiki and lounge stuff also. So I think that's everything on the front. So on to the back. Upper corner, we got Austin Ribbon Microphones, which is Rick, that used to be in a band called Surf Report. He makes these cool microphones, but also just recently he started making reverb pedals. Well, I think it was last year. Now he's actually doing real reverb tanks. And I believe they're tube driven, not FET driven. So if you're wanting a real reverb tank with tubes, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but I believe the reverb tanks that he's doing have a pan and tubes. So check out Austin Ribbon Mics about that. Next to that is Alameda Guitars. Mel, that was in Meshuggah Beach Party and Mach 4 that you love so much. He does guitars and pickups and effects pedals, and he also collaborated with Surfy Industries with a knob control for one of the reverb pedals that they make, where you can have 2 different settings of reverb. So that's Alameda Guitars. Of course, Reverb Junkies, that's that DVD I was telling you about of the modern surf scene. KFJC, that's Cousin Mary's, the station that Cousin Mary is on. She's on Monday nights. I believe it's 9 to 10 on Monday night for her show, The Reverb Hour. Caveman Music, that's a music store in LA. It's records and amplifiers and guitars. We got Vintage Guitar Magazine. Of course, everybody knows them. They're going to run our ad, I think, in 2 issues. But check out Vintage Guitar. They're a great magazine. Then we have Clint Beachwood. See the circle there, the blue one?
I love that logo.
And Clint Beachwood's A Day at the Beach radio show. And we got Rattlesnake Cables. See the dark rectangle there? And let's see. We got Laguna Tropical Surf. That's a show that's in Laguna Beach on Sundays from 5 to 7. It's a mix of surf and Hawaiian music. So it's kind of a nice way to wind down on a Sunday. before getting back into the work week. And we got KXLU. That is a station that has Stella, Stray Pop, and then Reverend Dan after her. It's Friday night from 11 p.m. till 6 in the morning. They do their 2 shows back to back. They do all different kinds of stuff, but they're very surf friendly. Then let's see, WAIF. That is the station that Guy is on, Midwest Surf Guy. His show is on Saturday. He's in Ohio. I want to say for his time, it's like 6 to 8, I believe, or 5 to 8. I can't remember if it's 3 hours or if it's 2 hours, but I always catch the last hour of it because I'm listening to John Paul. Then we got DJ Dottie's show, Paradise Cove, and she's on GTF, which is the internet station out of Russia. But don't hold that against him. He doesn't support the war. So GTF is a station that's 24/7 surf, but there's like 3 or 4 DJs on there, and DJ Dotty, her Paradise Cove, is on Saturday Pacific time is 10 a.m. or Sunday is 3 p.m. Pacific time, and then there's one other time USA that's at like 3 in the morning. Nocturne Pedals. You see the Nocturne there?
Yeah.
That's Tavo that does the Nocturne. He does pedals. He also does a reverb tank and I think some amplifiers. Not very often as much as he used to, but he does all different kinds of pedals that have very retro sound. And he's kind of more for the rockabilly crowd, but he does have a few things that are surf friendly. So check out Nocturne. It has a thing called the Dino Brain. And it's kind of like a little bit of an overdrive, but it's like a vintage amp being overdriven. It's not like a modern distortion. Let's see what else we got here. The Catching the Wave with Jammin' James Riley. He's on a few different internet stations, but I listen to him on GTF. I catch him on Sunday at noon or Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then we got Moondoggies. That's a guy that does like Hawaiian and surf clothing. He'll be there. That's that red surfboard right there. Yeah. Comes from Las Vegas area. And then of course one of the big ones, we got Storm Surge of Reverb. I think you've done an interview with Hunter, right?
Yeah.
He's a ball of energy.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if he's
really good photos last year.
Yeah, I don't know if he's everybody's cup of tea, but he plays great music, and he's a wealth of information. Oh, we're missing one. Oh no, it's on. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Sorry, folks. I'm losing my mind and my eyes. Cannot forget John Paul Ballott's Fiberglass Jungle on luxuriamusic.com. Every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific time, and it's also in the archive. John Paul just celebrated 10 years of doing the Fiberglass Jungle show. And then another one I almost forgot. My buddy that printed the flyers is Jason with a Custom Deluxe. They're the Iron Maiden looking face.
Yeah.
That's a new logo that he made. Anyways, Custom Deluxe design and printing. And I think I got everything on there. So again, the artwork, the amazing artwork that everybody loves so much, that's Tom, aka Big Toe, Bigtoe, Big Toe. Tom Big Toe did the great artwork. He said you need something that pops and really catches people's eyes, and I think he did that. And then my buddy Jason did the printing. So if you need some flyers and you want to help spread them, send me an email, bigtikidude@yahoo.com, or a message on Facebook, Jeff Hanson, or Big Tiki Dude in italics, and I can send you some of these. You can help spread the word. Again, there's QR codes on the back. Go to the stellarshows.net or surfguitar101festival.com for getting your tickets or the info about the show. The schedule, it's on Facebook, but I can send it to you if you need it, of all the bands, the times and everything. So I think that about covers everything, unless you have any other questions.
Yes. When do you sleep?
I sleep in about 5 or 10 minutes till 6 in the morning. So
Which is
I
not
try
much.
to I try to give it about 8 hours a night. Usually wake up a couple times for nature, but I do get sleep.
Congratulations, Chef. Really. My experience last year really made me no matter how big it was this year, really inspired me to come this year because I really felt like I was around family, especially with your hospitality and Craig's hospitality and everybody was so kind. And I think that family atmosphere that you're talking about is something real people are going to appreciate this year.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a big party, of course, because there's gonna be so many people and it's gonna be at a hotel and in a ballroom. But make sure, we sometimes we do it where we have name badges. Maybe I can dig those out, and if you want to put a name badge, but you don't have to. But try to make your rounds and talk to people that you never talked to before. Don't just talk to, one or two people that all weekend. Like, everybody's really super friendly, from the surf scene overall. There's a few curmudgeons and few people, and even me, I may look scary, but I'm a big teddy bear.
Well,
So,
thank you so much, Jeff. Um,
Ryan, thank you for doing this with everybody, but also for me, helping to spread the word on the scene. We need more of this. It's one thing to be a collector and go to shows, but I think the main thing with surf is we have to spread the word of everybody else. It's
yeah.
like if you just take in and don't give back out and don't help spread the word, it stays small. You know,
I'm trying to do my part.
right on, brother.
Take care.
Cheers. Good to talk to you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Cool.